Charlotte Pedley. So this is a brief screencast about how to navigate the Blackboard site for the RMACP module. So this is the module homepage, by which you can always denote that from the four pillars of advanced clinical practice that I've put on the homepage, so you always know when you've got yourself home. So on the left hand side of here, you can see the subheadings and the different menus to be able to navigate your way through the Blackboard site. So if you click on the module homepage, it will always bring you back home. Under the Using This Site tab, I have just put a brief guide and a brief synopsis of how to use each aspect of the module site. Just in case you wanted a quick how-to guide for each aspect. So things like staff details, you'll find the details of how to contact each member of staff. So if I did click on the staff details aspect, you'd be able to see my contact details and where my office sits, and then the contact details for each member of the teaching team for this module. So I've included all of that on there, so that's for your convenience to have a look at. On the left hand side, if we go into module documents, I've included a brief screencast and presentation for an introduction to this module. The module descriptor is always worth having a look at, and that will have a look at the aims, the learning outcomes and the assessment strategy in a little bit more detail for this module. Underneath that are the consent forms for the practical aspect, so if you can complete the consent forms and have a read of the consent protocol and then just email those over to me, so I've got a copy of them for each of you. Underneath that, I've put another copy of the timetable, so you can see for each day what the plan is, which room we're located in, and who it is that's teaching. And then you can also marry that up to the staff details on the form on the Blackboard site. So that's module documents. Under learning materials, this is where you'll find all your information for the pre-tasks, the post-tasks and the presentations for the days. I've also just included a little bit about evidence-based intervention and where NHS England and NICE married up on the new initiative. So that's just a really brief video there for you to have a look at. So if we look at day one, just in here, so if you click onto day one, it's populated with the pre-tasks and the learning materials for the day itself, and the post-tasks that we would expect to be completed after the face-to-face teaching. At the end of each folder, I've also added in a Google form for evaluation. Because this is a new module, we need to make sure that we're creating a really good learning experience for yourselves, and also that we're able to develop this as it goes forward. So any feedback you do provide will be greatly received, so that we can start to develop this module. So anything you really liked, anything you don't like, then we can sort of feed that into developing this module. So if we click on the pre-tasks section, I've also split it down into 3 different aspects. So all of them need completing, but sometimes you might struggle to just sit down and read on an evening, or you might want to do something a little bit more interactive. So you can click on what kind of task you want to complete. So if you go into the read ones, I've put different links to the aspects of the reading that we want you to complete. And I've also for each one given a brief time. So if you do have a spare minute while in between patients, or you've got a spare 15 minutes while you're at home on an evening, then it might be worth picking one of those rather than the slightly longer ones. In the complete section, these are the ones that are a little bit more interactive. These are the actual tasks that we want you to complete. These are things that you could include in your portfolio, so these are really worth keeping hold of once you have completed them. So anything that's blue and underlined are links, so you can go through to the documents that I've created for those. And then the interactive ones are things like the healthcare improvement, and then the e-learning for healthcare. So the e-learning for healthcare is based at quite a basic level. So we've directed you towards certain modules and aspects of that we want you to complete. So for this, you need to make sure you're registering with the e-learning for healthcare, and then you can search for each of the modules in the top of your portfolio from there. The modules that we've asked you to complete here can take up to 6 to 8 hours to complete, so please don't leave them till the last minute. Do them bit by bit. Each module on average probably takes between about 20 minutes to 30 minutes. So you can break it down into sections to complete. So this forms the basis of what we want you to know for this module, and then we will build on that and go into much more depth and make it more M level and level 7 when you come into the face-to-face, and we can feed that into your formative and your summative from then. So that talks you through that. In the support resources, your reading list is on here. So by clicking on the reading list, it will give you a direct link through to our library site. So just log in with your SHU login, and it will take you through the reading list for this module. So I've split it into the different sections. So the MSK management skills, so Simon's Day, these are the recommended reading for there, the pharmacology side. So you can go down through here and have a look at what we expect of you. I've also included some links on how to use APA referencing. If this doesn't give you enough information, then there are help workshops within the library, so it might be worth getting in contact with the library to have a look at doing some of the APA referencing workshops. There's some further information on studying at master's level and what the differences are and what we expect of you at master's level. How to critically appraise literature, and a few really good presentations that were done by our colleagues in the radiology department, I believe, who have gone over how to do a literature search, how to use critical thinking, and then how to use critical evaluation. So these are really useful tools to sort of aid you in your progress through this module, and also in organising your formative and your summative assessment. In the My Grades section, that will be where you will receive feedback and your mark for your formative and your summative assessment. So when those go live, then you can click on the My Grades section and get a lot more information from there. So talking about assessments, if you click on the assessment side, I've done the assessment submission guidance. That will talk you through part A and B and where we expect you to submit it to, and the deadline is shown up here. Please be aware of the word count. So the word count includes all the words, excluding the reference list and excluding any appendices. So it's inclusive of all text, citations, tables, text boxes, quotes, and titles of diagrams or figures if they're outside the diagram. The content of the diagrams and the figures are exempt from the word count if they're constructed in Word or inserted as a picture. So where your word limit is exceeded by more than 10%, then you will lose 10 marks of the available marks. When you're writing at M level, we expect you to be concise and to the point. So try and avoid waffling. And the word limit itself, 5,000 words is an awful lot of words, but you will find it quite constricting when you're trying to form your arguments. So please try not to go over 5,000 words, because if you are going over 5,000, you're going to tend to be waffling about what you want to be saying. Try and cut that down and make what you're trying to say a lot more concise. The marking grid and the assignment brief are outlined here, so you can have a look at those in a bit more detail, and I would encourage you to do so quite early on and to keep familiarising yourself with each aspect of that. Some elements of the plagiarism side. So when you submit your work through Turnitin, that's looking at how much of your work is original. So it's worth familiarising yourself with the plagiarism side of the university conduct, so that you're not going to fall foul to that. Again, there's further help around referencing. This is where you would submit through Turnitin when it goes live on the 23rd of September. And also there's information around Turnitin. There's videos within here as to what Turnitin is, how to use it, and to explain how to access the feedback that provides. When you are submitting your assessment, you need to use this assessment submission template. So when you click on that, that will give you that will give you this template just here. So you need to make sure that you're putting your name, your student numbers on here, the hand-in date and the word count. It also reminds you that it should be in size 12 Arial with 2.0 line spacing, and pages should be numbered consecutively, and referencing should be in the APA 6th edition format. You ignore this bit because that's for the marker, and then underneath here is the marking criteria. So again, it's worth familiarising yourself with that. So you would leave this all in place, and then you would continue to insert your work here. So you would delete this and then start your work from here. You keep all of the above first 6 pages as they are. When you submit your work, you need to change your file name. So it would be, for example, joblogs rmacp.doc. For myself, it would be Charlotte Pedley rmacp.doc. So this will aid with us knowing whose work it is and how to mark it. So I hope that's been helpful with navigating your way around the Blackboard site. If you do need any further assistance with the Blackboard site or you can't find anything, then do get in contact.